there's economic factors and structural factors, but then also just the way we conceive of psych is changing, and hopefully going back to sort of the way some stuff was, before the cognitive revolution, and that's becoming part of healthcare. But um, one good thing, one thing that's maybe exciting if you're a doctor, or if you're a resident, is like this system is broken and not working. And so it has to be different. Like there's no way
Oh,
for
yeah.
this to continue to decline for another 10 years. Like someone's going to have to come in. Like we need to be able to build these structures, and like, yeah, maybe you are in this place that you don't want to be in, or maybe you are in this place in the profession that's really inconvenient, but that's also really exciting. It's like we
Oh,
just
yeah.
tend to not fix systems until they completely cannot be fixed, until they're completely broken, and we're sort of getting there. I think that this is a time where the good ideas that we've been able to ignore for the past 20 years, we probably can't ignore for another 10.
Oh, yeah. And that's one of the exciting things with psych and these psych residents is I have a couple of them like, I'm tired of like the medication route. We got to find something different, right? And I'm like, hell yeah, we do. Like, yeah, medication can't solve everything in some of these patients. And it's just like it used to be focused on that type of, this is the only thing psychiatry can do. And you're getting these young residents that want to exit. And that's what
you lost people who had capacity to understand healing in another way, because you took away every single tool other than pills. So now every tool, if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yeah.
And you lost all the institutional wisdom of the Irvin Yalams, of the people who could do talk therapy, because you turned healthcare into a service. And that service meant everyone's looking at psych being like, what do you do? We're procedure-oriented healthcare now. There's no procedure here. It's just talking.
Yeah.
Like we want you to deliver babies and don't cure it, because that would be expensive, but just treat cancer forever, please. Like,
Yeah.
That thing made these sectors of healthcare very profitable, and it made anyone wonder why you would go into psych, and psych just kind of be chronically underfunded everywhere.
Yeah.
But the more nefarious thing about it to me is that it took these services and made them 5 to 15 minutes long.
Oh, yeah.
You don't know anything about me, and now you're putting me on drugs that affect my brain.
Well, that's what the therapists working 45 minutes are for.
But then the therapists working 45 minutes aren't part of it.
Yeah.
Like you're not pairing, even the people who are like, well, research went that way or something. No, it didn't. Research always said, taking aside all of the things that we made up to make antidepressants look more effective than they were, like it always said that these things were in most cases only effective, and in all cases, almost all cases, more effective when you combined antidepressants with therapy.
Yeah.
So it wasn't evidence-based. Don't tell me that, because you weren't saying go out of the therapy office and then talk to the psychiatrist. That isn't what you did,
Yeah.
And now we've lost all of the institutional knowledge of the people who knew how to talk to somebody for an hour in this whole field of medicine. So that's scary, but also exciting if you're an MD that wants to blow that world up.
Yeah, and that's something that I'm doing. Every conversation that I had is kind of saying, like, if you do want that change, you gotta be okay with feeling symptoms of that type of compassion fatigue and burnout, because you're going to run into brick walls with that, right? You want to change right now, but you can't. You're a resident, and then outside of residency, you're looking for that good job to like figure out, and do you become another cog, in the system, or are you going to, put a screwdriver in it and try to do something different? And it's kind of filling those out, but it's like them being okay with some of the, and everyone in general just being okay with some brick walls. And, those brick walls come down at some point in time, but it's just when, and it's how to maintain that resilience through it.
It's kind of the serenity prayer of that. How do you accept the things that you can't change and change the things you can? And just having somebody help you go through that. Sometimes it's more of a Venn diagram, like you're saying. Some of those brick walls come down with time, but we do, I think we tend to beat our head against walls that we haven't accepted are there yet.
Yeah.
And when you get in therapy and somebody says, yes, you can't do that, but where can you redirect that energy?
Where can you
redirect? Many times that's when things change.
Yeah. that's kind of what it is. It's, and we have to redirect the energy to the right things. I talk about productivity a lot. Is, everybody thinks like being productive is doing everything all at once, but it's really just about doing the right things at the right time.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And go ahead, please.
I was to say, and that's kind of the focus on burnout is like everybody thinks, so everybody thinks we have to do everything and this is what we can achieve, but it's really about kind of picking the right thing and being okay with that.
But it takes somebody with your depth and kind of existential bent to be able to understand that. I mean, I think why a lot of just higher performance professionals that are, bright and have already kind of ruminated on these things that are hard and they are paradoxes. There's not an easy solution. They're afraid that they're going to end up with, sort of avoidant, cognitive only, cognitive behavioral supportive counselor that's just like, well, maybe that wall's there for a reason. Well, maybe you should just be grateful for the wall that you're beating your head against, instead of just like, yeah, that's a bad thing, man. That's bad. And it's not going to change. And maybe it will change in 5 years, but what can we do now?
Yeah. What can we do now?
Unfortunately, most therapy just doesn't start there in my experience. It's people kind of trying to talk you out of your emotion, which seems weird, but
no,
they'll let you label it, but then you got to zing away from it.
Yeah. There's so much there. Yeah.
I'll call a doctor and tell him I'm down. Call a doctor.